Hello and welcome to part 3 of my altered journal, I guess, workshop. I'm not sure. My experiment with this beautiful old journal. So in the last video, I painted the cover, gave it some texture. And in this video, I think I have an idea of some of the colors that I want to add to this cover. So I'm going to just do some loose doodles on the cover. And just to kind of give it some really cool texture. And I do often use these blooms, mainly because it just comes so easy to me. But in this case, I want to use them because I'm trying to repeat some of the motifs. So I chose these bump stencils in the last video. So in this case, I kind of want to repeat something similar. So I'm doing some bumps, and the other reason is I really want to add some more color to this cover. So I had some plans for that. So this is a Posca 1 millimeter. I'm not really sure what the M stands for. I think it's millimeter. And often when I'm doing doodling, I choose a Uniball Signo, which is this pen, and I love it. But it is not a permanent pink pen. It is more of a gel pen. And it is a blessing and a curse because the paint can rub off, but the paint can rub off. So if you don't like what you've done, you can take it off by just kind of wetting the surface of what you've just drawn or painted, and you can start over. So I do like that. But because this is a cover and a book that I'm going to be working in, I really do want it to be more of a permanent kind of feeling. So I've laid just some white doodles, and I'm going to fill them in. I'm just looking at my pens here. I got these pens recently from this company, Art Owl, and I really like them. I feel like they are comparable to a Posca, and they're a smaller paint pen. So I'm just gonna see if I can get one started. Ooh, this is very peachy. I might end up with my Posca because I'm looking more for that color actually. Yeah, okay, so let me just see. This one looks rosy, so I just wanted to see how, oh yeah, that's really dark brown. Okay, so now I've decided I'm gonna use my Posca peachy. I don't know what this color is. Mine are all the ones from Korea, and so everything is in Korean. But I just loved how the initial pink is showing through. And I've come to realize in the last year or two that one of my favorite combos is this marine and blushing in the Dina Wakley line. And this Posca is almost the exact same color. These two colors go great together. Sorry, I just shook the camera. So I use them a lot. And they're not colors you would normally think to combine, but I think they actually look great together. And it makes sense because they're semi-opposites on the color wheel. You've got red across from blue, and this is kind of a warm pink of sorts. So it's a hot and a cool. So those are always good things to combine because you're going to get that really nice contrast. So I'm just adding some color to this around the cover. And I genuinely haven't done an altar journal in a long time. So I'm really not sure if as they go along, because I'm just kind of, I'm not really planning this. How I want to do this. I don't know if I want to add some collage to this journal on the cover, or if I want to keep it kind of plain and more innocuous so that when you open it up, you see something more interesting on the inside. I'm just not sure. But I'm just gonna quickly color these in. And I like outlining in the white and then coloring in. I could just have doodled the peach color and then colored it, but the white does make it look a little bit more defined and intentional. And it looks cool if you don't color it all the way. Like if you don't do a perfect job, that looks kind of tough. All right, so I like that. This dark bit here is kind of bothering me. So what I'm gonna do is find my, I don't have it. Maybe I get a little, I use these all the time if you see me. They're usually plastic, like if you peel clear stamps off something, you really don't need that piece. I don't throw them out, I just keep them because they're kind of like a good craft sheet of sorts. So I kind of like those. So all of a sudden I've decided to add some more texture to my cover. I just feel like this is a little too defined for what I was hoping for. So I'm kind of looking for, I have this is a Sumi ink brush that's pretty crappy. It's been used for glue, but I know it's gonna be streaky, and that's why sometimes it's not always the best to like throw out all your brushes that dye, because sometimes they can be great for texture. And I chose Elephant, which is doing exactly what I thought. Elephant is, I put it back. Elephant is a very warm gray. I dare say there's just a smidge of like a brown or a pink in there of sorts. So I really, really love it. It's another one of my newer favorite colors. I'm not gonna go too crazy with this, but I'm just kind of covering up some of that overt stenciling so that, again, I just have a little more texture. I'm letting some of it peek out. And I'm just adding it in some places. And this is kind of how you build texture anyway. It's not something that you can just have. You kind of have to build it. It is a process. So already I like that a lot better, just having some more texture. I'm gonna go in the opposite direction too. I'm clearly gonna need more paint here. And it's just kind of cool. It's redirecting. So those layers are there, but just not quite as much. I'm gonna do that here too. But again, this may not even matter as much because I don't want to cover the words entirely here. This is where we're going to have a lot of our stitching for the cover. So that's how we're going to stitch all our signatures in. And I'm just going to do the same thing over here. The only thing about this process is it can use a bit of paint because you're kind of putting it on a little bit thicker with thicker strokes, like, you know, you're leaving brush marks and that kind of thing. But again, I really like the texture that this is. And it's so funny because the fabric that they used for this cover initially must have been dyed, because every time I go to add a new paint color, that red peeps through. And that's an indication that it really was more of kind of a dye. But I love that because it's just kind of adding this cool undercolor. So it's kind of cool. I want to get around the words, but I don't want to cover them up, so it's tricky. Kind of tricky. It's tricky. All right. Oopsie. I'm going to cover that up. All right. I love that. That looks even cooler. And you know, if I'm really uptight, I can go back and cover up any kind of bits that I missed. And I left some open space here because maybe I want to put, I mean, I probably don't want to put something here to cover that up, but you never know. I'm just curious. I have a gold marker here. What happens if I add just some gold back in? I lost a little more than I wanted. It's not the same gold. But that's okay, because it kind of, I'm going to add a little more here too. Just, I'm going to take it away too. Whatever. I don't know if I like that, but that, I can play with that. It's no big deal. Okay, so I'm kind of liking where this is going. And again, I haven't really decided what else I want to add to this cover. I have beautiful botanicals. You know, I have the Rikki Tavi quotes, you know, where you could put something really bold and contrasting. That could look quite lovely. I have stamps. You know, I have all these interesting stamps that I could add to the cover. I have these beautiful stamps. I love these that are very old looking. I mean, that looks really cool, but I'll figure that out later. In the meantime, the last thing I'm going to do today for this video is just add the inside covers. There's so many ways to go, and I have to say I normally prefer something smaller and more patterned, which I was thinking about doing, but then I found these handmade papers and I kind of loved how, I don't think I'm going to use them. I was just thinking, oh, they're so cool because they have the blue. But I don't think I like them. No. So forget that. I'm going to do I'm going to do my other more patterny option, which I think I like better because it has the bright white. So all I'm gonna do is cut this down. Normally I'd be super careful about measuring, but because this paper happens to have these beautiful straight lines, I don't have to worry about that as much. So I'm just gonna, and I'm just gonna have it come up to my spine fabric, but not go over. So I'm gonna cut it to this size. So the fold is here, so it's not going over the fold, because if I tried to get it to stay down over the fold, it would just pop up all the time. So I'm just gonna bring it right to the cover of that spine. And I'm gonna just be lazy and trim the second page based on the first. This is not how bookbinders, traditional bookbinders do things. I'm being lazy, and I let myself do that. And then I think to glue this down, I'm going to use the Distress Medium. And I'm going to use a bigger brush, but here's the thing. When doing something like this, you can use Yes paste. That's another bookbinder paste. I'm using this collage paste because it's just so strong, but it dries really fast. So what I'm gonna do is just do a small portion and kind of loosely line it up where I want it, and then get it on there, okay? And then I'm gonna work quickly getting the rest of this down in kind of batches so that it kind of stays down. So I'm gonna keep rubbing as I go. The other thing I want to tell you is, if you don't use your best brush for this process, this is one of my better brushes. If you use one of your better brushes, you need to immediately go to the sink and get some nice soap and water and really clean your brush immediately. Because again, this is a glue and it will completely alter your bristles. They will stiffen up, and there's a product called Murphy's Oil Soap, which I actually have never used, but it's a great cleaner for brushes. So if you have brushes that have gotten paint on them and they're just not doing that great, you can hit it with some of that and it'll help clean them off. But I find if you just put them in water immediately and then go and clean them right away, you'll probably be in good shape. So just be aware that you don't want to sit here all day torturing your poor expensive brush and then not cleaning it. And usually, you know, again, just soap and water for me works pretty well because I do this a lot. I'm only doing this now because I just ordered a new one of these, just so I can have more than one. So, but it's one of my better brushes. Okay, so I'm gonna put this down and rub it on as good as I can get it, especially around the edges. You want to seal the edges. Those are the first thing to come up if your gluing is not great. And that is it. The only other thing that you should do if you are following along or doing this on your own, and again, like, I didn't do a perfect job here. It's not super lined up, but that's okay because, again, it's mixed media and we're just kind of playing. You're going to want to press these overnight. So if you press them overnight, you will also have really good results with your gluing and they'll stay down. But already we've super reinforced this cover now. We've got the fabric on the inside. When I'm done with painting everything and figuring that out, you know, I could even go in and seal it. Although it's not super necessary because the paint itself is pretty well sealed. So, all right. Well, thank you for joining me again for this video. And I'm going to press this and I'll see you back for putting in some paper and sewing your book together. All right. Have a great day.